Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure, and I could not imagine a more fitting place to present the new innovation agency for culture and creativity in Hungary for the very first time, at a place where so many innovators and cultural missioners and practitioners come together. Dear Secretary of State, dear Acting Director, thanks for opening this conference, and I will now guide you into what is the EIT Culture and Creativity, and hopefully what we can also bring to your work as a value added. So let's see, fighting tech, of course, always. I can of course speak without slides, but as we have done them, oh, there it is. So, what is an EIT, Innovation Community? The EIT is based here in Budapest, and it has been created in 2008 as a mirror to the MIT in the United States. It's in fact the European MIT. It's the biggest innovation agency, some 6 billion euros investing to tackle the global challenges of certain sectors like climate change, digital, food, health, and now the 9th innovation agency on the plate is the topic of culture and creativity. Our topic is to support the whole range of culture and creative expressions. So diversity is our DNA. And if you imagine how you came here to this conference, of course you have read the media in the morning, newspaper maybe in the very old nice way, in printed, but maybe online. You will have likely listened to music, maybe you streamed a film on the way here. For sure you entered a building, architecture, even cultural heritage. You're sitting on furniture and chairs, and while I'm talking, somebody is just looking at his iPhone and using this color, this swiping, and this so-called swiping, the cover flow technique has been invented at the Arts University in London and then bought by Apple. So you're using culture and creative products every day, every hour, every minute. And just by doing it so, you create global markets without realizing it. While we all dress every morning, we create a market of 1,900 billion euros worldwide. And that's the economic dimension of all those cultural activities we are now here to support, to be more innovative and also to compete on a global level. For this, we have been founded now in May this year. We are a company in the making. We are just hiring our staff, now 25 persons. We will grow up to 80. We have 6 offices around Europe, and we will spend between 30 to 50 million euros every year into innovation. And obviously the topic of AI in education, but also AI in products, reaching audiences, is part of our focus in the coming years. So what is our journey about? We envision culture and creativity to support value creation. On purpose, value creation between the immaterial and the material values, to then lead to growth. As this innovation community is funded by the Horizon Europe program, it is of course in the end about realizing better jobs and better life. But we all know that in culture, it's not only about the economic dimension, but also about the immaterial dimension of changing minds and instigating different behaviors. And here you see on the five topics we have on the right side. We invest into talents and education. We create sustainable growth. And that's quite important, not to have another growth sector, but have a responsible growth, which is value-based, if it's for the planet or for the people. It is about a dynamic business ecosystem, so offering you as researchers, also opportunities to collaborate closer with companies to bring your research ideas to life and see them implemented in society and markets. Last but not least, trends, if it's for social inclusion or green transformation, are also carried by culture. In fashion, we know it obviously, but in many other areas as well. And last but not least, this innovation agency we are just creating is not about to be funded as another project for the next 20 years, but it's about to be an own sustainable company. So our aim is, in about 10 years, to earn our own costs and to be not dependent any longer on taxpayers' money, to be a real self-innovation company. Now, when we focus those innovations in the creative industries, you see some 15 sectors in front of you. And we decided to pinpoint those 3 areas where we see the biggest impact to stop overheating of our planet, to really improve better lives in cities, and that is contributing to the Green Deal. We always have to overcome fast fashion. I think this is almost obvious. Architecture is not so much known. It produces some 37% of the carbon footprint in Europe. So the debate about cars polluting is really a minor one, because this is just 4 or 5%. So with architecture and heritage, we focus our second pillar. So museums are part of that, and we also envision to have a resilience fund for cultural heritage in about 3 years to support single institutions to transform, just as you have been describing, to audiences, but also many to new business models, to reaching new audiences and coping also with new costs, which the climate change is bringing about. Last but not least, audiovisual and games is the largest sector in the creative industries. Some 160 billion euros every year. So this is our third focus, to make our sectors more competitive and thrive. Oops. Was one too much? Or even two too much. Okay, see a PowerPoint going reverse. Now come on, here we go. So, I told you we have 3 sectors to intervene and to support with innovation. In what areas do we do this? We do this by supporting new masters and vocational training, up to 8 or 10 every year, where we launch open calls and universities can apply. We launch calls to realize innovative products, and here also libraries, museums, public institutions, but even cities and regions can apply, as they are change makers to implement those new innovations. In the third pillar, in creation, we help companies, and we also help spin-offs, where, for example, a museum and a company creates together a new service agent, like Facebook and the National Library in UK did so. So you can here apply really for an investment into your equity, and we really act as an investor to support a company long term. This is very different from what you know usually, where we support a 3-year program. We're going here with a company as long as possible, and also with supporting innovation. We aim to bring those innovations into the market, not to have another research paper which might be discovered in 10 years or might be discovered next year, but we really facilitate the bridge. We like to speak of innovations being implemented. And last but not least, our fourth pillar is about supporting culture in developing cities and urban areas. And we all know this effect of former coal mines or former districts which are in change. And here, galleries, music clubs do their good to develop and lay the ground of a thriving community, and later on, even gentrification of those areas. In London, the city mayor decided to buy buildings in the city to keep the creatives in the city, because, you know, the revolution were holding their own child because of their gentrification success. Now let's try another test with tech. I already told you in those 3 areas, to reiterate, architecture, audiovisual and games, and fashion, we support masters, products, companies, and urban developments, and we always do so by open calls. This is really relevant because we design those calls in a way that they fit to the target group. We try to reduce the effort of application and tune it to small companies to apply more easily. A lot of the applications with the Horizon Europe program, you kind of need to have a PhD first before you apply, and this we want to change. We want to be more accessible. And so when you enter our community, you are also helping us to design those calls. So we're really preparing those calls and the ideas with our members. So if you're interested as an institution, as a museum, as a company to join this EIT Culture and Creativity, you have a say how those calls look like and how they're being made. Last but not least, well, supporting with 30 to 50 million euros every year innovation, and in total spending maybe 300 million in innovation sounds impressive. But if you look over the whole of Europe, 30 companies, 3 million single companies, 9 million employees, a turnover of 600 billion euros every year, the spending of 50 million euros in innovation is not a lot. So how do you turn this into a change? How do you come from 100 projects really to changing the sector and having overall growth? And we create 3 tools to kind of scale those innovations which we fund. One is this investment network. Here we collect some 200 investors to convince them to offer more private capital to do more of the good things. We kind of fund them with public funding as a role model, and hopefully others in the sector take it up. And quite often finances are missing. We all know budgets in cities, regions, and nations are limited. And as far as not as big as private capital is. So we had our first investment meeting already, and we also look forward to have one in Hungary next year. Our second tool is not so much about capital, but it's about the conditions of growth. We all know capital helps to scale, but you still need better procurement rules, you need better policies and conditions on local and regional framework. When Amazon comes to a city department, everybody knows what they need, big logistics. But if somebody comes to a department of a city, at a business department, and asks to say, I want to build an incubator for games, what does such an incubator need? And if this games incubator might go even to the cultural department in the city, the cultural guy might say, you're just too much of economics, rather go to the business department. So quite often our sectors are between the stools of business policy and cultural policy. And this we want to change here also. We started with this network of regions and cities in Bilbao 3 weeks ago. We had some 25 of them visiting, and we hopefully look forward also to incentivize regions, cities here from Hungary to join us, and then to hopefully create better framework conditions for their own cultural creative industries locally. And the last tool to scale, if tech will work, here we go, is about the story, about the narrative that culture has been a change maker in society is not new. Just look at that building here. At that time, this was a huge cultural investment. It was a huge share of the social product being created and was a symbol of power, but also of framing society. And you can go to the printing press, you can go to the iPod, so many instances where culture and creativity have changed society and created new markets. So we really create now a movement called the Next Renaissance, pointing to the fact whenever art and technology meet and science and culture meet, you get new ideas, you get innovations, inspirations, and really the thrive to create maybe such a building of the future. If you go to the Google headquarters, this is this architecture signature power of today. So what are those change-making innovations of the future? And we invite you, even if you're not interested to apply for funding, if this is not your world, still you might be a change maker in our sector. So please use this opportunity that we tell your story across Europe. We are publishing a book, we are working together with Flash Art, an international magazine, but also publishing this on our website. Last but not least, the next Renaissance was taken up as an idea also by a museum, the famous ZKM in Karlsruhe, and it will be on show in Paris next year, and then, you don't believe it, there will be a next Renaissance exhibition here at the Museum Ludwig in Budapest. So I hope we all meet there again, and by that time you had an opportunity to look at our website and to engage with us. So if you want to become a member, you can also do so. We offer 4 basic services. There are many different services you can tick, but those are the 4 big boxes. This network across Europe, across 15 sectors, 13 nations, across research, education, businesses, and cultural institutions, really cross-sectorial and cross-network even, offers you a new connectivity. To build those networks are much more expensive doing it alone. It offers you new access to talents, to capital, but also to ideas. It helps us to lead on certain topics. We all know how important it is to set agendas, and this museum conference is an example. You said very early, 10 years ago, digital innovation in museums as the topic driving it forward. Here you find partners to lead agendas, and last but not least, even the biggest partners we have, like the Goethe Institute or the City of Amsterdam, even they need partners to leverage their influence for more success. And of course, if you're a small company, a single researcher, or a state, you're happy to join and support this network. So I still have 1 minute and 7 seconds to go, and as I was tasked not to break the rule, I'm offering an additional minute to my next speaker. So thanks for the attention, and I hope we see you again at the Museum Ludwig then next year. Thank you so much.